Hello, and in this video we're going to run through the training functionality underneath operations. Essentially what you'll notice here is that the process for creating training procedures is almost identical to that of procedures, and it won't differentiate too much in what you've already viewed in the previous tutorial that I've run through. So I'll be just consolidating some knowledge here and really just showing you how to use this tool in a different style to what you did with the procedures, but achieving the same goal of creating a task manager type list for your staff to review. In terms of distinguishing how to treat something as a procedure or as training, the key way to look at it is that procedures are your day-to-day tasks that need to be completed on a reoccurring basis, and they would fit into your procedure section. Whereas with training, you're essentially providing your staff with the basic fundamentals of how to work in your workplace or in your venue, and that will include topics such as first aid, food safety control, the running the pass as an example that we have in this example right here. It's about setting the foundations and the standard for your staff to which the procedures can actually build upon. So you want to introduce your staff to the way you work and the things that they should be aware of before getting into the day-to-day, and then building on those day-to-day tasks within the procedures area. So what we'll focus here is how to create the task management training lists for the fundamentals. So as you can see here, we have a few examples of what that might look like. Before we jump into one of those, I'm just going to quickly show you how to create a training module. So in the top right corner, similar to most of the other screens, we will click the plus sign, and that will pop up with a screen here, which you'll notice is identical to that of procedures. So really the process is the same here. We title it in terms of what the training is trying to achieve, how you would like to be notified once the training is completed, and the departments you'd like to assign it to. So it's more likely that you'd probably assign it to all departments if it's a standard training for your entire team, but it's also very possible that you have different types of training for different types of teams or departments. So you can choose to split it up in that way. And just so you're aware that once this training module is created, it will show up in the My Day for staff, and if you have assigned it to particular departments, it won't show up in everyone's My Day. That's the reason why we have this functionality here. So below it is similar to what you saw in procedures, where we can actually customize the way our staff will view this task management list, and we can run through an example in a second. But as you'll recall, you have the yes, no option, the free text, min, max, photo, and title. We're familiar with what these do now, and if you're not too sure, just refer to the procedures video. We run through that comprehensively in there. And I will show you how this looks in a pre-made training that we actually have already uploaded into the system, rather than going through and creating our own one here. So if we jump into one of these, let's say we're doing training with first aid and injury. As you can see, the title is here. The manager has chosen to be notified by email once completed by the staff member. No departments have been chosen in this circumstance. Let's go with everyone needing to know about their first aid, as so. And as you can see, this is how the list has been customized as a title. So this will be the bolded part of the task management list, so they can see what they are reading underneath. So the title is outlined in the beginning, and our yes, no are almost our bullet points that they'll be going through and ticking off as they complete the training. As mentioned in the previous video, you can also choose to use the title as a divider. And as you can see here, I've entered it in as almost a dotted line, and that'll be bolded, and that'll show a break in the training module. And as you can see here at the end, there's a free text option. So if we want to find out who was a particular person supervising this training, you can actually enter the name in on the other side, and we'll see how that looks once we look in My Day. But that's essentially it. As mentioned, very similar to procedures, just a different way of using this functionality to prepare your staff. So whereas we were focusing in the day-to-day in procedures, here we're focusing on giving our staff the fundamentals of what will be required to work at the venue just to get started. So if we go to My Day, just to have a look at the training. So what will happen when training is assigned to a staff member, it will pop up at the top here. So it won't fall into any of these categories. It'll actually pop into the top of My Day. And that's because the training actually stays in the staff member's My Day for the period of their employment with your restaurant. And that means that you can go in and actually have a look and see that they've completed it. And also at the same time, if they want to refer back to their training that they might have forgotten, they actually have access to it as well. So if we say new training in this circumstance, and we're assigning it to myself. We can choose any of the ones. Let's say the first aid injury, because we ran through that just now, and it will pop up, well, it should pop up here. Nope, because we are signed in as Restoke Restaurant, it will likely mean that we have to do it as a team member. And there we go. Sorry about that. It's just because that we're signed in as a Restoke team member, that's why it didn't pop up on that My Day. So if we click into here, we can see what the staff end looks like. We have that title that we discussed. We have our bullet points that the staff member can go through, tick. They can even submit an exclamation mark here saying, I didn't understand this point. And that will be a point for elaboration on your end or the manager's end or the supervisor who's looking after this particular training. And as mentioned, here's the break. In this case, you probably wouldn't need it because you do have the title food allergy intolerance, but that's an example of how you can use the dividers to break up your training module so it doesn't look all too condensed. And then it pretty much looks as such. And then on the free text, you can enter the name of the trainer. So if I was a supervisor, as so, and then the name of the trainee, which probably is not required in this case because we are doing it from the staff member's account, so we actually know who's completed it. But we can put that in if that's something you would like to customize with. And then it's just a matter of marking as completed, which it won't let us do since we haven't ticked everything off. But that's essentially how it looks on the staff end. So that's it. Very similar procedures, just a different way of using it, and should be a great way to get your staff introduced to your workplace.